This month, my calendar is starting to fill up with shows. If you want to come out and see me do live comedy, I will be at Helium Comedy Club in St. Louis on October 4th. I will be back at Helium on October 7th. I will be in Nashville Comedy Club called Third Coast Comedy Club in October 8th for prom night. I'll be headlining that show. On the 14th, I will be in Cape Girardeau, Missouri at the VFW Hall. On Saturday, the 21st of October, I will be in Chester, Illinois at the Popeye the Sailor Annual Festival. So things are really heating up, and more shows will be added to come. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Best Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Russler. If it's your first time joining us, thank you so much for tuning in. When I started this podcast, I decided to set out on a quest to find the best of everything. The only problem with that is that anytime somebody tells you something is the best, that's just their opinion. There's no way to actually prove it. So I thought I'd sit down with some of my favorite people in the world and see if we can't get to the bottom of some hard-hitting questions and find out what really is the best of everything. Today, I'm sitting down with one of my close personal friends. His name is Michael Yetman. He's a comedian who started his career in Columbia, Missouri, and moved to Nashville about 2-3 years ago. He's a very funny guy and just a joy to talk to. Thank you so much for tuning in and enjoy the episode. Well, sir, that's only step one. Check this out. A fully functioning PowerPoint.
Squirt.
Oh, yes, sir. Hell yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, see, I changed things up, man.
I like this.
It's a big difference. I've been busy. I've been a busy little bee.
Here I am, 57,000 episodes later. It's a pleasure to be on.
Well,
First
I think
episode
24.
54.
You were technically the first ever episode that came out.
Yeah.
You were the first one. But for whatever reason, you were like the third one I ever recorded.
Yeah.
I think I just practiced editing most on yours.
Just like your lovers. You take a few practice lovers, and then the first time you record, it's with someone you love.
Well, here's the thing. If this is like my 25th podcast or whatever, I've probably recorded 50. It's just come across like later people are like, maybe we shouldn't put that out there.
Yeah,
and like,
I'm just used by you.
I had one guy black out. He got so drunk he just like that, and I was like, all right, I didn't realize you were.
He just pops up and he's like, the best is yet to come. Oh, I don't miss that, blacking out. Ooh. No, sir. I saw some of that this past week.
I bet you did. Dragon Con.
Yeah.
That's right. I thought you were going to say Nashville. I'm like, sounds right.
That's just status quo, baby.
Yeah, I was about to say, I came down there one time on a Sunday night, and there were drunk people like falling down, playing. Remember when they played the drums inside the Taco Bell?
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, the girl that was hammered, she just hopped. First of all, it's a Taco Bell that does live music.
Well, when we were walking into the Taco Bell and they're like, "Excuse me, gentlemen, can I see your IDs?" I was like, "What the heck?"
Yeah, you laughed.
I laughed because I thought he was joking, like, because he was standing there smoking a cigarette, so I thought he was just a dude hanging out. And then he was like, "Excuse me, I need to see your ID," and I was like, "Isn't this a Taco Bell?" And he's like, "Yes." I was like, "Oh. Okay." Yep. Like just blew my mind.
That's how Taco Bell is now.
Yeah, I was like, this. Actually, we should have been doing this the whole time. Like this should have been.
It didn't keep the garbage out. It's not like they let a drunk girl in who then rushes the stage to drum.
And she got away with it for quite a while, 45 seconds.
Too long.
You know what security didn't do? Security didn't come in. the fry cook had to run out from the back. He was like still holding, like he was still wrapping up a burrito,
Yeah.
and he was like, "You can't get out there. You gotta get out of here. You gotta come on, like that." Like, and we were just standing there, and during this whole conversation, they had that one girl that didn't speak English.
Yeah.
And she was just like trying to call out the numbers, remember? And she was like,
4.
she's like, 87, like that. But she would do that while the drums and the fry cook are fighting this drunk girl.
Yeah.
And we didn't hear our number get called. So we stood there for what, 40 minutes?
Way too long.
By the time we got it, we were like, okay,
Yeah, we're
great.
just kind of over it at that point.
And it was like 106 degrees outside, stupid hot. I had torn my hamstring, so I was using a cane.
Oh, that's right. You had the cane.
And I didn't realize that you were sober. Like, I thought you were just like, you were like, hey, I'm sober. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like that. Like, thought you meant like, but then I thought I saw you drinking a beer.
Yeah.
But it was a root beer or something like that. And I was like,
Ginger
oh,
beer.
he drinks. Okay.
Yeah.
And we went to the Taco Bell, and I was like, hey, let me get you a drink? And you were like, no. No.
It'll be a problem.
Yeah. And I was like, what? Why? I don't understand.
I
Didn't put it together, not knowing that I'm like, I would be that guy that'd be like, oh, dude, you in pain? Did you need some Oxycontin? And they're like a recovering Oxy hit, you know?
Imagine if I'm so anti-conflict that I was just like, yeah, man, and I just fall off the wagon
that's just how
because you hand me a slushy drink.
Hey, man, I got you a skinny girl margarita. That's what does it. That's what starts a 4-year bender. Just down the rabbit hole Michael goes.
Oh, man. Oh, that would be... To lose it, to not be sober anymore for Taco Bell, that's full circle. That's what you do
just
when you're
giving it in, yeah.
When you're drunkest, you're at Taco Bell and it just comes full circle. By the way, a note about that Taco Bell and that security guard. The one refreshing thing was that security still kind of does the Roadhouse standard for what qualifies as security, because he was just a big fat dude.
Yeah.
He was just a big fat dude who just stood in front of the door.
He looked like a fatter Big J Okerson.
Yeah, he looked like exactly like I think he was like a redhead or something, but also like 30 seconds into any combat, he's gonna be pretty winded. Yeah.
And I'm a big guy myself, but he was big.
Yeah.
I'm a big man, but he was.
I've been meaning to talk to you about that. You're too big.
Yeah, that's what I think that's what God's telling me now. My spine is just shriveling.
He's like, oh shoot, you were supposed to be 5'8".
The weirdest thing is that when I stand up straight, I don't it's a much different picture than when I'm like, whoa. And on days when my back hurts, I just like, it's like I'm part armadillo or something, and I'm just curling up to just like, whatever you're gonna do, just do it back there. Like, yeah. I don't get, I'm just gonna taco myself.
I just can't see it anymore.
Yeah, I just don't want to deal with it anymore. I just see,
there it is. Oh, the YouTube comments are coming out, baby.
Move over, Matt Rife.
Yeah, they're gonna
Me and my puffy nipples are taking over.
Boy, that shit hung on from 8th grade, huh? The first time it happened. First time you had to do skins in front of the girls.
Oh, dude, that was such a day.
Rusler, you're on skins. You're like, I'm sick.
I know I'm not.
No.
I'm not.
No, I'm gonna be skins.
Well,
with
the thing is,
on.
dude, I am hairy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so hairy, and it started a lot younger for me than everybody else.
Like 13.
Like, I'm not kidding. One day I woke up and I was like, "What is this?" I had this like little happy trail from my belly button like down, and I was like, where did that come from? And I used to like sit there and like rub it like when I was like home alone, I would just sit there and just like, oh, this is strange. And then I swear to you, one day I woke up and it was like everywhere. Like, I look like Austin Powers, and I have to use a guard on my chest hair when I shave it.
Wow.
Just to trim it down. I don't even shave it completely. I just have to trim it down, because if I don't, it comes through my shirt. Like, I'm always like halfway into becoming a werewolf. Like,
see, you messed up. You shouldn't be doing stand-up. You should be doing like World's Strongest Man competitions.
That's what I was designed for.
Yeah, that's what you were built for.
I was built to live in like the 1600s, where they just needed a really big, dumb guy, you know, that they were like, hey, go here and kill this person. And they would have kept me around until the age of like 25 when my back gave out.
Yeah.
And then they would just hit me in the head with a hammer and toss me in a hole. And that would be that is what I'm designed for. That was my purpose in life. But now we live in civilization and I can't go around smashing people and causing wars.
If we don't talk about it enough, I guess, but like this really is like the greatest era to be a giant, because you have, like, back in the day, you know, you were big enough to like either be somebody who kills, you know, for a living, or you're like hammering metal all day. Now you can be in the NBA, and if you're not athletic, you can be a podcaster. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like you have more options than you used to as a giant.
I'm not saying it's not nice now.
I mean,
I'm
at
just
one
saying,
point
like,
you just had to be a circus person.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I've outlived my purpose to society.
Good.
You know how like they say like, oh, everybody's getting shorter and and everybody's like taints are shrinking and the plastics. I didn't know about the taints. Oh yeah, it's a big thing right now.
Shoot.
You should. I'm surprised you're not Googling taints more often.
Well, you know, I have safe search.
ask your parents, kids. But everybody's, you know, and so I just feel like people my size have outlived their purpose. Like I didn't make it to the NBA. I didn't make it to the NFL. I did my time in the military, and it's like, well, what else am I?
Which, by the way, it's hilarious because you're a huge target.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, that was like I remember I had guys tell me, they were like, dude, you're funny, but I don't really want to get to know you because I know you're gonna die. And I was
every
like,
day.
But you know what I heard? You're funny. And I was like, oh, thanks, Lance Corporal.
I'll hang on to that.
Thanks, Lance Corporal. He's like, no, I'm telling you, you're not coming back. And I'm like, yeah, but you liked that joke? All right. Yeah. Like, I was like, oh, stop.
It made me blush.
Okay. But you think I'm funny? Like,
okay, I'll go to the front of the line.
That was something that it made me so happy to do, to make someone laugh in the Marines, because you're not supposed to. Like, it's not like when somebody's talking to you and they're like talking down to you and then you say something that's funny or whatever and they just break and you're like, yeah, gotcha. Like, that's my version of the who's going to carry the boats or whatever. Like, that's like, yeah, but
who's going to make them chuckle?
Yeah, who's going to bring the giggles? Yeah, that's right.
This is your David Goggins moment.
Yeah.
I want a super serious video of you where it's like slow cut, black and white in your face, and you're like, it's 3 a.m. It goes across, you know, and then it comes back across, and you're like, can you make your fellow brother laugh? It's just your Jocko Willink.
Yeah, you're just sitting there like, oh, by the way, I wish that I could have had microphones for some of the conversations that we would have at 3 a.m. Just like the weirdest, most random, inner, deepest thought. Like, you just sit there and talk, because you got to stand here and look from like this direction to this direction for the next like 15 hours. Right. And then your buddy looks from this direction to like the other way, you know? And so you're just kind of like back to back, just like you can't go to sleep.
I like that it probably starts out like, so you have any family back home, right? And then eventually, like, one night you guys are back to back and you're like, you ever think that, like, if you could suck your own dick, that it would still be kind of like not cool to do? Like, you ever worried that you ever worried that like you'd be bad at it?
This was one that we used to do a lot. Was, what do you think the hardest thing to clean would be? The hardest thing to clean.
Oh man. The soul.
Okay. I mean, not with the power of Jesus.
Good point.
Dunking on him. What's up?
True, man. I don't even know.
Can I tell you what I came up with that everyone agreed would probably be pretty hard?
What?
If you took like hot caramel, like the kind that you would get on like a hot fudge sundae, you know, like it's just slightly above room temperature.
Yeah, I'm fat.
But when it gets
cold,
Uh-huh.
it hardens.
Mm-hmm.
And if you poured the hot caramel all over like 20 hedgehogs, and you were responsible for cleaning the hedgehogs, because the first couple ones that you scrub, the caramel's still going to be warm, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to get most of it off.
Yeah.
But you can't go from head to tail, because that just pushes it all down and just mats it down. You have to go from tail to head. So already they're going to be pissed because they've got hot caramel on them, right? And you're scrubbing, and they don't want to be scrubbed.
Right.
You know, they don't know what's going on. You're going to lose a few hogs, right? And then by the time you get to those last 3 or 4, the caramel's going to be hardened, solidified. And I think that would be the hardest thing to clean.
What if you just dip the hogs in some hot water?
You could do that, but I think.
I imagine if you're already pouring hot caramel onto hedgehogs.
Yeah, but then you just have to become. Yeah, well, obviously somebody doesn't care about them, right? But I'm just being like, maybe.
So you just dunk them in hot water.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know who put the caramel on the hog.
Do you hear this?
No, I mean, say there's an accident at the Smucker's factory or something, and a giant vat tears open and floods a local field that's home to an indigenous hedgehog colony.
Oh, the common.
I don't know what they live.
Often,
yeah, the common hedgehog.
Yeah, the common hedgehog.
Right.
I'm with you.
So now you have to call in like a hazmat team. You know the team that they use. They get the soap on the ducks after an oil spill. It's the same concept, just hedgehog spill.
Right. Well,
you know what I mean?
It's so rare these days to see a hedgehog spill.
I know. I think it's a lost art. Kind of like,
I will say, I do struggle with the Schmuckers, like OSHA. They don't follow regulations typically. I mean, Schmuckers is
allegedly.
Schmuckers is known for being the bad boy of the condiment family. And, I mean, it makes sense that this is a viable problem, really, if you think about it. Caramelized hogs, biggest problem.
I'm not saying there's not a market for it. I'm just saying that it would be hard. Yeah, you don't know what people are into.
Fresh hogs here, fresh
caramelized hogs. Roasted caramel hogs, everybody.
You guys, Eric's comedy career is falling apart.
It is. Just like my life, man. Just like my life.
I wouldn't. I would hate it, obviously, but I would love 10 years from now, like, I haven't heard from Eric in a long time. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be in St. Louis. I might as well hit him up. And your number is on a disconnected line. I'm like, oh, no. And then I see you on a street corner selling caramelized hedgehogs.
No, it'll be in this studio.
No
one. The cameras won't be on. I'll just be sitting here scrubbing hedgehogs. I'll have bites and scratches and caramel all over me. I'm naked like Howard Hughes. My fingernails are like 10 inches long. And I'm just like, what's the best pizza crust? What's the best hot dog topping?
Yeah, your wife
just
your wife
losing my mind.
Yeah.
My kids are dead.
You're technically a squatter.
Yeah, they can't get me out.
I don't know. He's like greased up or something.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like Bronson. Was that
Yeah. All right, you cunt.
Yeah, except instead of just shaved down, I'm extremely hairy. I look like Robin Williams when he came out of Jumanji.
Whoa. Can I? I'm just gonna leisure it up. Is that cool?
Yeah, do your thing, man.
I don't want to like overly expose myself to the camera, but we'll go this route. Oh, I like this.
I went home last Saturday, and my wife, daughter, and 3 of her friends went out for like dress shopping.
Yeah.
And they came back. They were like, we're going to go dress shopping, then we're going to drop the girls off, then we're going to come home. Well, I was like, all right, cool. So I'm hanging out on the couch waiting for them to come home, watching Netflix. And I'm like lounged back.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a wife beater on. I've got like my short shorts from the military, like that only family can see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like spread eagle on the couch, just king in his castle, right?
Yep.
Door opens. I hear somebody coming down the hall. I go, oh, hey. And I lock eyes with my daughter's best friend.
That's great.
Who's 14 or something. And immediately I'm just like, oh my God. Like I'm like pulling a blanket over me and stuff. Just like, I'm like, hey.
I love
hi like that. I'm just like not even thinking like, hey, yeah, there might be other humans that come through this door.
No, but also like to be fair, like it is funny because it's that constant thing too of like, you know, you're not doing anything wrong, but the constant fear of a lawsuit for that specific thing.
Well, all I could picture was her going home and being like,
Mr.
oh, how was your sleepover? And she'd be like, it was fun. And his dad kind of like, he was like naked on the couch like that because and I wasn't.
I know, but
those old military shorts, they get shorter and shorter,
yeah.
especially the bigger I get. And they choke up around these big old ham hocks I got. And the next thing you know, you never know what's popping up. My wife always has to be like, that. And I'll be like, all right. And then I'll go put on other shorts.
My dad, I don't know if this is a military thing, because my dad's former military, and his shorts, I mean, there was always a risk of a ball exposure.
Oh, yeah.
So, like...
It happens.
But it was like, there was like this understood thing that, like, he's done working for the day. He's not required to wear underwear. So he would just put on these short shorts and just sit on the couch. I mean, I never had a ball exposure, but it was always looming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my brother-in-law has seen his dick like too many times. My dad would change. I remember when I was a kid, my dad, and I'm sure it's just because it's how you are in your home, but like, my dad would change with their door open, like if he's just changing quickly. But my bedroom was like next to my parents' room, so I'd have to walk past it. I remember one time I was walking past, and I didn't know my dad was changing. And you just see something out of the corner of your eye, you turn and you look. And my dad goes, quit meat gazing. And I just remember being like, like, I didn't know.
So when I was really little and we would go on like trips and stuff and we would drive everywhere, if we were in a rush, my dad would be like, hey, if there was a gas station and only had like one toilet per bathroom, he'd be like, just come in here. We're going to pee, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And he would be like, it's a race, who gets done fastest, and I think it was just to get me to hurry along. And then I remember one time, I guess, I don't remember what age I was, but he was in the bathroom and I just walked in and I started peeing next to him. And he was like, what are you doing? I was like, what? We've always done. What do you mean? Like that? And he's like, you're too old for that now. Get out. I was like, okay, I'm sorry, Dad. Like, I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't realize.
Yeah, but we grew up in like good enough homes and communities that wasn't a thing in our life. So like it makes like if you tell people that, they're like, oh, that's weird. You're like, now, yes, I understand.
Yeah.
If I still peed in the same stall as my dad right now.
Yeah, I'm 33. It would be awkward.
It would be terrible.
But if, I remember one day, I guess I was like, oh, I guess we've crossed that.
Yeah, we just don't do that anymore.
Yeah, something has died, a tradition has died.
What's that old thing? Like, you never know, but you pick up your child for the last time and you never know it.
Dude, I pick up my kids every day just because of that saying.
Yeah.
Because it worries the hell out of me. And it's getting harder. Like, definitely getting... They're getting big.
That's why I can't have children. I can't have somebody remind me of my weakness.
Yeah. It is a bit of a... When my daughter taught me how to do something on a computer the other day, It was the first time. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
It's the beginning. It's starting to happen.
Yeah.
It is hard when your parents cross that threshold of they went from being the most helpful people in your life to sometimes being like the biggest stressor in your life, because it's like, Mom, I don't know how to explain this over the phone. I'm just going to come over. Like, I'm just going to come over and show you,
Yeah, it's still kind of depressing. Like, I've been talking about this on stage a little bit, but my dad is still just so handy and knowledgeable. And I have my first home. And so we're figuring all that stuff out. And so my dad has helped us a ton with this. And, the other night we were on the porch talking, and I'm telling her this idea I have for a project, and she goes, yeah, maybe we can call your dad and see if he can help us. And I was like, man, I bet that never happened to my dad. I bet he was never talking to my mom, and she's like, why don't we call your dad for help? Because my dad knows how to do that stuff, but I don't. I'm telling you, there's no way it ever happened.
I'll take it one further. I think for sure that happened to your dad. I think all dads at one point are calling their dads to be like, "Hey, how do I do that? How do I do that?" You
What
know,
is the clit?
and then and then they learn it. But my son the other day, we were trying to figure something out, and he looked at me and he goes, "Maybe we could call Papa." And I was like,
Ooh.
"I'll have you know, sir, I can figure this out. I could not figure it out," and he knew it, and it hurt, but.
That's why
Some of us have different talents, okay? If you're watching this, Grayson,
Yeah.
some of us have different talents.
Why don't you go see if Pawpaw can do a type 5?
Yeah. Let's see Pawpaw sell tickets on a Saturday night, huh?
I wish I could sell tickets on Saturday night. My dad, one time we went to Florida to Universal Studios, and my dad, I don't know, something clicked in my dad one day where he became like the social butterfly. And he like was volunteering to do all these like, you know, they do all the like the movie scenes and you can be an actor from the audience. So it's like the Indiana Jones thing. You can be a part of the action.
Mm.
And my dad, like 3 of them in a row that day, he got on stage. He was like on the Snow White thing and whatever. We get back that night to our Airbnb and my dad's like, "Man, is it crazy I have more credits than you?" And I was like, damn. Broke me right there. Couldn't believe it. I'll tell you, that's what I love. I appreciate my dad more than I ever have in my life because I'm finally understanding, like, some of what it takes to be a dad, right? Like, to be a man, I guess, because I'm not a dad, but, like, now that I'm married and I have this house, these responsibilities, there are so many times where, like, I'll come home and I'll be tired and I'll be exhausted and I'm like, finally, some me time. And then my wife will be like, "Hey, I need you to go look at this." And I'll just have to, like, tighten my jaw and just go do it, you know? And, like, how this, like, back in the day, I would have been like, well, that's tomorrow Michael's problem. But I'm like, it's like, you have to go do these things, right? And so now I look at my dad back in the day and I'm like, oh, I get why you seemed cold. You were like, I would wake up and he'd be eating like Thin Mints on the couch watching like war movies at 11 p.m. and I'd be like, why are you doing like go to bed like the rest? And then I realized as I got older, like sometimes I just stay up late because my wife goes to bed. I want to go to bed at 10. I want 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
But sometimes I need everybody to be gone and I need to just be able to do whatever I wanted to do for 1 hour.
Yeah, exactly. You see these circles under my eyes? Do you know what that's from? That's from, oh, come on, one more episode. I won't be home for 3 more days. I just want to stay up. I just want to stay up for just a little bit and just watch what I want to watch. I love Band of Brothers. I'll watch that all day. Like, I love college football. Maybe I can watch some highlights, you know? Like,
I wanted to hang out with my dad so bad that I ended up watching Full Metal Jacket when I was like 10 years old.
yeah.
If you haven't seen Full Metal Jacket, it's a Vietnam era film, but it's like pretty brutal. And I remember I just like I couldn't sleep, walk down the hall. He's like, "You can stay in here, but you got to be quiet." And like I just got to sit next to Dad and eat Thin Mints at 10 o'clock at night, best day of my life. Meanwhile, there's a fucking suicide on like I'm 10. I'm just like, this is the greatest day, and on screen, and I'm like, just I guess enough Thin Mints just like numbs it out when you're watching it and think twice about it.
That can you imagine? Well, first of all, can you imagine doing that now?
No.
Staying up late and eating Thin Mints. I would just be like, I would be traumatized by the movie, and then I would have heartburn for days.
Yeah, my fingers would just be swelled.
Yeah. What happened to us? Like, we used to be indestructible. We didn't know how good we had it.
No, we weren't indestructible. That's the problem. We weren't indestructible. These were our vital years. We should have been having fruit and vegetables and good, clean protein. But nope, we just kept throwing sugar against the wall, and eventually that wall got very tired. Sometimes, like, I had candy the other day, and my mouth, I just felt my teeth getting soft. I was just like, oh, I'm dying. I'm rotting from the inside. It's a Reese's peanut butter cup. It feels so good going down. You're like, oh, it's the flavors. And then and your brain goes, hey, I know this is delicious, but just so you know, you're killing yourself. Anyway, I'm going to go back to ignoring it, but you're dying.
It's a problem when you're eating that and your body goes, "This is killing us," and everybody else is like, "All right."
Yeah.
You're just like, "Okay."
But don't smoke weed. But eat a bag of Skittles. It's so confusing. You have to be like a nutrition expert to exist now.
Well, and it's super like healthy food is not cheap either.
No.
Like it's almost just as expensive as eating out, every meal or whatever. It's I don't know if that's true.
Look, I'm garbage.
I know meat's really expensive.
I had 2 sausage, egg, and cheese McMuffins this morning. I was driving in, and I stopped and got 2 sausage, egg, and cheese McMuffins. It was $4.
I can't get down with McDonald's.
Do you want to hear how I ate them?
No, I'm good. We can just skip all of that.
But here's the thing. I didn't like it either.
I just don't like McDonald's.
I
refuse to.
I don't either.
You'll hate
trash.
it. You'll hate it even more as a father. If you ever become a father,
Nope.
You'll understand. Like, you're like, wow, this is not cheap, and it's also not good.
Yeah.
And it's also making me feel like shit.
Yeah.
Like, and that was the thing. It used to be super cheap and super fast, and now it's none of the above. You know what I mean? It's just as expensive. My family of 4 can go and drop $35 at a McDonald's or whatever. It's just expensive. That's just I'm sorry. I'm poor, and
I didn't know if you were bragging at the end of that.
Yeah.
We could definitely spend $35 at McDonald's. My family, we could definitely spend $35.
Oh yeah, I mean,
no, I know.
That's the whole point. It's not hard to do. Like
it is. It's weird. It's also one of those things like McDonald's to me is funny because they have like all these fancy, right? Their version of fancy, like they got like added features. Like they don't need any of it. All people care about McDonald's is sauce. Literally everything at McDonald's is just a transportation system for whatever goofy sauces they have available. Like the Big Mac.
Oh yeah.
Or whatever sauce. It doesn't matter.
I've had
barbecue.
I've only had one Big Mac in my entire life.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I never had eaten a hamburger from McDonald's until I watched that Super Size Me documentary.
Yeah.
And it was that whole thing about like don't eat McDonald's, whatever.
Yeah.
Before it was cool to hate McDonald's. And after I watched it, I was like, I want a hamburger from McDonald's. And so I went and got a Big Mac, and I remember afterwards just being like, I get it. I understand why they tell you not to do this. Like I hated it. I don't know.
I used to work at McDonald's.
Really?
Yeah, and when I tell you, I have had so much McDonald's.
Oh, I can believe. I mean, the chicken. Yeah, I would eat the chicken for days, and the fries.
I'll tell you my favorite thing, hands down, apple pies. I'll eat 100 apple pies right now.
The McDonald's apple pies?
Yeah,
I just never got into it.
That's fine.
Their breakfasts were pretty good.
Oh yeah.
I remember thinking like pancakes, scrambled eggs, sausage and bacon. You were like, oh yeah.
Can I tell you, this is great how we dissolved from being 2 fat guys talking about needing to be healthy to 2 fat guys talking about our favorite breakfast from fast food.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's the whole podcast. The first 7 slides I have are what's the best food and insert soda, dips. Like that's what go with what you know. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
It's funny because like you want to be healthy, and I tell my wife it's tough because like I don't work out for like a thing. Like I've only ever worked out for things, and so now it's like no one taught me how to be healthy for just like I don't need CrossFit. I just need to go upstairs mostly.
Yeah, I just need to make better decisions. That's the only thing holding me back.
And you're getting tricked. You're getting tricked everywhere you go. They're like, you'd be like, oh, look at this. It's only 100 calories. And then it's like, oh, also, it's all salt.
Yeah.
Like, I made the right choice, I thought.
Yeah. I remember like, oh, I'm going to cut carbs out. So I'm going to get, instead of chips, when I want something salty, I'm going to get almonds. And then you look at it, and it's just like 90% sodium. And you're like, what?
Can I tell you, since we're on this already, I love food conspiracy stuff.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And this came across my radar the other day, and the more I think about it, the more it makes me laugh. But it's about how bread is like the downturn of mankind, like growing mentally, because bread is like this dumb food. Like carbs are good, limited amounts, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you shouldn't eat like bread all the time. And think about how you feel after you eat, right? This is part of the conversation. Was it like, you eat bread, you feel like, oh, I need to sit down. It's hard for the body to process, yada yada, right? But it's so good. It's like doing cocaine. It's so good that like you can't stop eating it, right? So then we realize like, well, how do you make bread? So you have to make a loaf, you have to wait for it to rise, and we're like, that is taking way too fucking long. So if you look at a lot of our food, we just learned how to make bread faster.
So smaller, thinner, crunchier.
Yeah, like, and it's like even ramen noodles. We were like, do you know how long it actually takes to make ramen? Fuck that.
Yeah.
Can we just prepackage it, throw it in?
Yeah, pasta.
Just drop bread in hot water. Then you don't have you just have bread now.
When I found out how you make pasta with like just like eggs and flour, and you just mix it together and you get dough.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
Yeah.
What? And then it's like, oh, you add a little bit of water, and then it makes it, and then you do this, and you do that, and then like just throw flour on top of it until it becomes
dough.
You're like, and then you just put it through like a pasta cutter.
Yeah.
And that's what you get.
Yeah.
And it's like,
but that's
I always thought it was this magical like
process.
No,
it's just fucking flour and eggs. But so I'm teaching myself to cook a little bit so I can have control, right? And sometimes I'll be like, oh, you know what I bet is going to be pretty easy to learn, and then it'd be impossible. But then I'll be like, well, pasta. I'm going to make my own pasta, and then you watch it, and you're like, well, why have I been spending $1.50 on noodles? Is eggs and like it feels like you feel stupid, and then you go back to eating the easy food because you're like, you'll do it for a month. You'll make pasta for a month.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I just want to have spaghetti, and I've had a long day. And the next thing you know, you're buying a cheap box of pasta and dumping bread and water back to square one.
That's what I didn't understand about like smoking meats.
Yeah.
Like it's an all day thing. Like it's fun, and I loved doing it, and it was delicious, and but it's like, oh, a steak, that's gonna take 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like oh, okay. Like it's not quick.
Yeah.
So when people are like, oh, I got really into making brisket, it's like, how did you have you have 26 hours to devote to a grill?
Yeah. How boring is your life?
Yeah, what are you doing? Like
it's game day.
Yeah.
I start the smoker on Friday. By the late night Saturday kickoff, we're having fresh brisket.
On a special occasion, though, I guess if you just doing it special occasions, because brisket's expensive and it takes forever.
Yeah.
I did do it for like a buddy's party one time, like an hour, like a day before I smoked it or whatever, and then put it in a cooler, wrapped up, and went, and it was terrible. But like I was like, yeah, let me try it. It'll be fun.
Yeah, but I like fried turkey.
Couldn't do it again. Yeah.
I like fried turkey, but if you're like every other weekend, let's fry a turkey, I'd be like, chill.
Yeah.
Let's have carrots. You know what I mean? Like, I like it. So I had a roommate one time who was into brewing his own beer. And it's the same thing I don't understand. And look, have your hobbies. I don't care. But like he would be like excited. I'm like, oh, do you get to try your beer now? And he's like, nope. Just put the bottle caps on, get to wait a month, and then I get to have him like, you have to wait a month before you can even consider it? And he's like, yeah, gotta wait a month. And I was like, I would hate that hobby. I can't.
Yeah.
Instant gratification. I live for it.
That's what comedy is.
I would
say something, you react, and I get validated.
Also, beer brew people, you need your own space if you're going to do it. It can't be a home brew thing. You can't.
No, my buddy actually, my buddy from the Marines that was just here. Shout out Tommy.
Shout out Tommy.
Follow him at Long Rifle Brewing Company and at Tommy Gun 03 Brews on Instagram. Anyway, do you see that memory?
At Yetman MT on Instagram.
No, he's opening up his own own brew company.
But like, well, he can attest probably like when they put like hops and shit in, it smells terrible, dude.
Oh yeah.
Although it was great for when I was like a degenerate, I would smoke blunts in the house on those days to like prove a point.
What?
When he would do like his hops, when he'd add like when it was a smelly day of him brewing.
Oh yeah.
In our house, I would smoke.
Oh okay, all right.
I would smoke blunts in the house to prove a point. I'd be like, yeah, this is what it's like, just so you know. I don't know why I was ruining my own shit. I was not in a good place.
Yeah, that sounds a little vindictive. I've never met a vindictive pot smoker.
But
that's
here's the thing.
interesting.
I would do it was a lot of pettiness with him. Like he would like get a pizza for himself. Like he'd buy a large. I'd be like, oh man, let's get some pizza, and he would just buy his own. And at night when he'd go to bed, because he always went to bed early, I would like do that thing where you slice a little bit of a couple pieces, like smaller slivers, and you push the pizza together.
Oh,
and I would have like a piece of pizza, but he would never know. Or like he used to make a lot of gumbo, and I would get a big spoon, and I would like just skim the top and get a bunch out, and then I would just like kind of flatten it so it looked like it wasn't even touched. Put the lid back. I was good at it. I was a piece of shit, but I was good at it. I'm like the greatest at stealing food.
Why? I was just talking about this the other day. What is it about comedians that like to steal things?
I think it's like maybe you spend so much time like in front of the stage being vulnerable. You want a secret for yourself, right? Maybe that's what it is. Let's talk to a psychologist.
Learn Spanish.
Come on in, Pamela.
Yeah, come on in, Deborah.
Wait, you got Deb. Nice. I don't know. I here's the thing. I don't steal things. I steal like I would like sneak food. That's just a little fat kid in me. I don't steal shit. There's like a little fat kid.
I know a lot. I know like a couple comedians that actively steal things, and it's like
I did used to steal when I was at house parties in college.
I did steal one. I went to. I'm not going to say this person's name, but I went to a party in high school one time, and we weren't even supposed to be there. Like, it was an all-girls party.
Nice.
And it was me and, like, 3 other guys drove over there, and they were like, you got to leave. My parents are going to get pissed, blah, blah, blah. And, like, everybody kept trying to, like, take stuff, and I was real, like, shy in the corner.
Gentle
like,
giant.
Yeah, never would go out of my way to talk to people. Like, I had to be approached, And I was just quiet the whole night, and then we were leaving, and we got like a couple blocks away. And I'm like, so did you guys get anything? And they were like, what? And they just like stopped the car. I was like, you guys were trying to take stuff, right? And they were like, yo, dude, we were just joking. Like, we didn't actually steal anything. And I go, oh. And they were like, what'd you take? And I had a crucifix, like a big gold crucifix that was on the mantle. And they were just, I remember everybody in the car just died. They were just like, why would you steal a crucifix? And it was like, it wasn't like small either, but I had such a big Letterman's jacket that I kind of just underarmed it and just kind of like walked out like, thanks for having us. And like walked out the door, and they never really said anything. And then it was like, then we got a call like the next night from her parents and like, did you steal our crucifix? It's like, it was just a prank.
It was a miracle?
Yeah.
I would just picture in my head like you pull out, like, what'd you steal? Her grandma's ashes. I thought we were just doing pranks.
It's an urn.
You just throw it out the window.
It's the cat. Like, you're just, guys, look what I got. This is ours now.
Yeah, this is ours. Were you, because you're a big guy, and you're a big guy, your whole life, I assume, did you have, like, a little bit of fear with girls of, like, I don't want to scare them off? Like, you had to, like, approach, like, hey, it's okay. How are you?
Man, this is a real deep dive into my psyche, but I've always felt like I'm in the way. I always, because people would always comment. They'd be like, whoa, you're big. Like, oh, you're a big guy.
Yeah.
And I just always felt like someone was constantly, like, running around, like, at, like, this level, and I was about to step on something. You only step on so many toes before, like, literally step on people's toes before you're like, oh, I'm just a big dumb animal. Oh man. Like when you talk to a girl and you get a little too close and she's like, oh, my toe. And you're like, well, we're never going to kiss.
Sorry, it's
like,
a long distance between my foot and my brain, so we're just trying to coordinate.
Oh, that's why my wife was like, why do your toenails get so long? And be like, because they're 6.5 feet away. All right? I can't exactly see when they need a trim. I just see when they're talons. All right? My nickname in the Marines was Salmon Snatchers because because I had these like claw like because I just like yeah, they look all right. You know what I mean? Like I'd be standing up, get out of the shower, like okay,
I can wait another day or two before I gotta reach down there.
Well, one of the biggest grievances that I have with life is that fingernails and toenails don't grow at the same speeds because it's like you clip your fingernails, you clip your toenails, same day. A week later, time for the fingernails. Toenails are still good. I don't understand.
Can you just check it?
Yeah, you could check, but that's what I'm saying. I get out of the shower, I'm drying off, I'm looking down, I'm like, we're good.
You need like you need like a Ring camera that's like at floor level.
No, I need a wife. That's why I got one because she's like, babe.
Does she cut your toenails?
No, but she tells me when they need to be. She's like, they could be trimmed.
Fair enough.
I'm like, okay. She's the one who points out things because
I
don't know. Yeah. Oh, she's the one who totally. She's like, hey, the beard, your neck is getting a little scruffy.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, sorry. And I'll go trim it.
I thought you loved me forever.
Yeah.
Your
She's
legs
like,
look terrible.
oh, babe, unibrow, like that. Should okay.
Meanwhile, go ahead and just say, hey, when's the last time you touched those legs? One time, and see how they fall apart.
Oh, I don't care. She knows.
I don't care either.
I don't notice it at all.
I don't until she points it out to me.
She's like, my legs are hairy. I'm like, I don't.
Yeah, great.
Okay, cool. Whatever.
What do I do with that information? Are you telling me so that you...
I don't care.
Is this a trap? Do you want to catch me in a trap right now? Are you saying, if I go, oh yeah, they are, I'm a bad guy. And then if I say I don't, then you're going to say that I don't care. I don't know what to do here. Give me direction.
Yeah. What do I say? What should I what ends this conversation the fastest?
What gets this to the end of this conversation?
When my wife talks to me about a budget and stuff and she's like, hey, we got to start doing this and blah, 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 and like it seems like it goes on forever. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. Just you tell me what I can spend per week.
I told my wife
give me that
recently.
budget.
Yeah,
give me that budget. Tell me, hey, you're allowed to spend $25 this week and I will budget accordingly.
Yeah.
You know? Just that gives me one chance to get a sandwich, after a show or one chance to, I won't even use all $25 probably, but it just gives me guidelines.
Yeah.
And I know we're doing bad when she's like $5 this week. And you're like, all right, things are not good.
Let's change the
I need more shows.
Yeah. Let's pretend I'm stupid.
Yeah.
We'll start at that baseline. Because, I'll tell my wife all the time, I'm like, it's not that I don't. She's like, well, I want you to be involved with the choices. And I'm like, I want to be involved in the choices too. But most of them I don't care about. I'm hyper-focused on making things work. So I'm cool with whatever boundaries you set. You just tell me so that I don't mess up. I'm more worried about making a mistake than someone telling me no. Does that make sense? Like, tell me I can't spend more than that. Then I know I can't mess up if I don't spend more than that without your permission. You know what I mean? You can spend $25. Oh, cool. That means up to $25, she's not going to worry about it. It's beyond that we'll have to talk. Cool. That's easy.
Now, I also have kind of shot myself in the foot because I have explained to her that I don't pay attention to cents. So when someone's like, hey, your total is $13.95.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's $13.
Yeah.
They're like, no, that's $14.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, but it's $13.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I do it. The bigger the number gets, the more I round. Mm-hmm. So if somebody was like, hey, this is $110, I'm like, it's $100. That's how my brain works. And I'm just like, yeah, it's like $100. Yeah. Because I know that if I say that to her, it's not. I don't remember specific numbers.
Yeah.
But I know that if I give her a ballpark.
Yeah, she can work with it.
She can work, like, she can be like, okay. Like, but I'm also I'm not like trying to get away with anything.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm not good at numbers. Like, they get in my head.
Yeah.
And so I'll look at something and I'm just like, yeah, it's it's like $100. And she's like, it's like $100
Or
or
it
it
is.
is $100. And I'm like, yeah, it's like $100.
Yeah,
It's one. I'll be like, it's 110.45, like that. She's like, that's 110. That's almost $111, Eric. She's like, see, the point means it's a okay, and I'm like, can I get it? Like that.
Yeah.
Like
okay. Yeah,
okay.
you can do your end of it, but just yes or no.
There was one time she looked at me and she goes, are you paying attention? And I was like, no, this conversation is no fun. And she's like, sometimes you don't always get to have fun, Eric. Sometimes there's things that you have to do. And I'm like, I know, but you're supposed to be the person. This is why we got married, because we want to have fun together, right? And she was like,
you're my best friend.
no. She's like, that's part of it, but we also have to do the real stuff too. And I'm like, I don't want to.
That's why this conversation is funny to me. But I wonder how many people are gonna be like,
This
they
is gonna
hate
make
their
me
wives.
sound. This
Yeah.
is gonna make me sound like the biggest piece of shit.
They
dude.
hate their wives. My wife is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. It's like you spend so much time with it that you're now you know everything that's like, I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, we sound terrible. Eric, we'll never get our female audience.
Well, that's okay. Not that
Ladies,
that I don't want it.
Eric,
I'm not searching for it.
I want to take a moment here.
Let's bring it in real close.
Ladies, this is me. Ladies, on behalf of this show, I want to apologize for what may have seemed like off-putting, borderline misogynistic comments. I, Michael Yetman, I don't believe in that. Despite Eric's deep, deep belief in men being better than women, I'm not like that. So, don't follow him. Follow me. Back to the show. I'm ready.
Okay.
Back to the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened? I was listening when you said pudding, and then you said something about women, and
I was just doing that sponsorship read from Andrew Tate.
Oh,
Yeah, I
nice.
was just doing that
How's he
quick ad
doing?
read.
House arrest. Is it going well?
I don't even. You know what's funny is
Is that what he's doing?
I
have
only
no
follow
idea.
it via like clips I see. I have no clue about any of it.
I don't know who he is. I mean, I've seen him, but I don't. Yeah, I don't know him. I don't know anything that's going on.
Nope.
I know that he's kind of like an asshole. I think. Like, isn't that his whole thing? Is like he's like.
Depends on who you ask.
But he's not an ass. I don't know. I don't care.
It depends on who you ask. Yeah, it's like everything else I know now about these influencer types is like I just know what I see on clips and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day. They were like, "You should do reaction videos to like current events." I'm like, "There's only one problem with that, is that I don't follow current events."
Yeah.
My reaction videos would be like me watching someone bake like a chicken Alfredo, and I'm just like, oh, like in the background, like, ooh, stir it in. Is that Parmesan?
Wow, they're
Hell
doing that.
yeah. Oh, we're gonna. Oh, look at that chicken. Chop it up, baby. Chop it up. Yeah, extra creamy. Like that. That's just what it would be. Or
we're
like,
not TikTokers though.
I know, and
It's
I'm
not for us. It's
not
for us.
Let's just be honest. Back to talking about what we were and we're not designed for. And I was like, I was designed for just like going out and killing the biggest idiot from the other village. Like,
Carrie Stones.
I am not designed for the front-facing camera. Like, it's not me. I can't do like, what's up, guys? Which I will have to do for this video.
But you know what's funny? Like, it's not a bad thing though. Like, I don't care that TikTokers exist. I do find some of it to be a bit annoying, and I hate the idea that this is like the industry everybody thinks they should pursue. But I'm 36. No one wants to hear what a 36-year-old thinks about Billie Eilish. You know, no one cares. No one cares. Like, let them have that. It is so weird to see people my age that are like doing like makeup tutorial videos, but like talking about hot goss. I'm like, you have a child. Stop. Turn the camera off. Like, and I know I'm going to sound like one of those grumpy old people. I don't care that, like, I'm not supposed to understand what 20-year-olds are doing. Because that's for 20-year-olds. When I was 20, I was doing some weird. I remember I did my own photo shoot in my house, and posted some of the photos on social media. Looking back, I'm like, God, what was I doing?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not supposed to understand it, but I definitely do not get involved either. Like, I don't stand on the outside and being like, well, I need to know what they're up to. I don't care. I don't care. Whatever you're doing in that TikTok world, I post my little videos of my comedy. That's it. I don't know what's going on in there.
Yep.
I can't.
I post clips of this and stand up and I leave.
I just stay out of the way.
Nope. I don't care. I hope you guys enjoy. If you come here for the content, I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah,
but
please.
If it's not your thing,
yeah,
it's not your thing. Vaya con Dios.
Yeah.
You know?
But I know people who are getting upset about, like, TikTokers doing, like, there's this guy, I always see him on YouTube, Kai Cenat. I sound so old right now. Kai Cenat is like this streamer, and I don't really know what his streaming thing is.
It's Kia, you racist. No, I'm just
and he, like, I don't understand, like, sometimes I see clips, I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny, like, his little interactions, but, like, he's, like, got millions of followers, he causes chaos in the streets because he's so famous, and, I mean, all the love to him, but I know people are like, that's so dumb, that shouldn't be a job, and it's like, are you just mad you didn't think of it? Because I would have killed for that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want that. No, I don't want to be mobbed.
Now, because you understand that you don't want that.
It would be really cool if somebody saw me and they were like, hey, aren't you that guy? I'd be like, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
up,
because
man?
we're older now. But I'm talking about, like, 20-year-old Eric.
No. Oh, I couldn't have handled that.
You couldn't have handled it. I'm not saying handling it. But if somebody was like, hey, I'm about to hand you millions of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Do you know how many times I pretended to be Michael Jordan? Like,
yeah.
Without blackface. But, like, and I would practice, like, running out of my garage to my basketball hoop, going like, I
used to do interviews, like post-game interviews in the shower as a kid. Like, not like a little kid, but like as a teenager, I'd be like, hey, Michael, about your game tonight, and I would have like of course, like, it's funny to be mad at a 20-year-old TikToker for doing their thing when they make millions of dollars. Meanwhile, some kid drops out of college and goes to play in the NFL for the same reason. We're like, wow, look at that warrior. It's like, come on, man. It just, everybody is obviously going to take that better option. But, like, why are you mad about it? Do your own thing. I don't know. It's just, I'm 36. Like, if I got mad about it, it seems like a waste of my energy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's why I don't. Yeah.
Tell me I'm right, Eric.
Yeah, you're right. I'm just saying. It was like, yeah, I agree.
It's just, it's funny to see, especially like people our age who, like, we're not that far removed from our 20s, to, like, you remember them. You know, well, what I do remember of my 20s. I don't know. Anyway, all that to say, like, cringy will never go away. It's always going to exist. So of course you're going to.
Well, it's just people that, I mean, when I was a kid, there were people that loved the Backstreet Boys and hated the Backstreet Boys. There were people that loved NSYNC and hated. That's all these TikTokers, all these influencers, all of these whatever. It's just this year's NSYNC. It's just this year's, you know, it's Furbies or Beanie Babies or name a trend, you know, like the George Foreman grill. Like, you know, all of these things are just like fads that happen every now and then. You know?
Will say though, and
I think we're all just trying to like, oh, maybe it'll be my turn.
Yeah. Maybe this. Nope.
Is it me? No. Okay.
No, still not into that.
And so until then, I just want to make people laugh.
So. Well, and like, to be fair, I was at Dragon Con and I saw plenty.
Oh my gosh, quit bragging.
I saw plenty of moments too where I'm like, you're too old.
Yeah, it's time to hang it up.
Yeah.
We see that at open mics a lot. We're just like, hey.
That's a tough one because I just had this conversation with Rob of like, that's the hard thing with comedy is like, you either figure out like, oh, I'm not going anywhere with this. I need to like step down while I'm in a place where there's some dignity. Or next thing you know, you're like, you're doing an open mic once every few weeks, and you're the old guy at the mic, and you're not doing showcases at all anymore.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's it. The thing is, in comedy, nobody knows that you quit. You just all of a sudden one day are that Hey, remember that one dude?
Yeah.
Who was that one guy that had that bit about this? And that's what people will remember. Like, and they, no one's gonna know you gave up.
Well,
You just stop.
This just happened last night. Last night I was in Columbia, Missouri, and Columbia, Missouri is kind of where like I developed as a comedian. And I happened to just be coming through town, and there's an open mic at this bar that Rob and I used to go to. And Rob was with me, and I was like, you want to try to drop in on this open mic and just have a little fun? We haven't been there. I hadn't been there in like 7 years. I was telling you this. Hadn't been there in like 7 years. And so we walk. It's very reminiscent of like back in the day for he and I. We're walking to this bar, and as we get in, like I don't know why, but like some weird anxiety kicked up. It looked the exact same. It was very weird. And it's just this open mic that's been going on for like 16 years there. And we get on the show, and we're in the back, sitting in the back, kind of talking, and like being in there starts drumming up all these memories I had. Like, oh man, I remember this, I remember that. And then he and I started talking about our class of comedians that came up in our time, and how very few of them are left, and how we didn't even think about like. I was like, oh, do you remember so-and-so? And he's like, oh, yeah, he doesn't do stand-up anymore. I'd be like, oh, do you remember so-and-so? And he's like, oh, yeah, he comes out like once in a while. And it was kind of funny because you're right, you don't think about somebody just quitting comedy or being done. It's just one day, you're right, they're just
not there
anymore. Do you
anymore.
remember that? Do you remember that person?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Because it's not like you have
It's not even static.
It's not like you have to keep going. You know, it's not like a job. Like a normal job, you have to put in like a 2 weeks notice, or like you have to tell everybody like, hey, I'm out. Or if you just stop showing up, they notice, you know. But at an open mic, it's all voluntary. So if you just stop going, people are like, oh, I guess he's somewhere else. You know?
I guess he's somewhere else.
Yeah, I guess.
That is hilarious. They don't even consider where you might be because why would they?
Can I have a spot? You know, like that's the way, I mean, like, hey, there are people that, I mean, there are people I like, but if say they were on the list tonight and I wasn't, if something were to happen, I'm not above being like, oh, that's too bad. Can I have their spot?
Yeah, can I fill?
Oh,
yeah.
So do you need someone to fill in?
Do you know how weird it is that showcases like, this is something new to me, but like comedians will go to showcases in Nashville and like either sometimes they'll get offered like a 5-minute spot because they're there, or somebody will drop out and they'll fill last second or whatever. And I think that's so interesting. I've never had that before where that's been the case because I was in a town where there was pretty much only one show happening anyway. And so it's funny now, I've been at a couple of shows where like I've seen somebody come in and ask for a spot on a showcase, and they're just there in the audience. I don't think I understand comedy at all. As many years I've been doing it, I still don't understand. There's like no rules.
For every rule, there's like 10 exceptions.
Yeah,
that's what I've noticed.
I spend my entire time like trying to I'm at this weird spot now where like I just submit and maybe somebody will put me on, but like networking, forget it. I can't do it. I've tried. I don't think I do it right. I don't. I'm actually going to tank your following with this episode.
I mean, you might. You might. I expected it. You know, I was kind of hoping for a dip.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like, you know, an arrow. You got to pull it back and then let it go, right? So you're the pull on my drawstring right here.
It is funny. I've been in comedy for like 10 years, and I'm still just like, what are the rules? You know, and I've changed. Simple things have been brought up to me, right? Like, you don't want to be an open micer? Don't go to open mics. Get showcases. And it's like, okay, that's cool in theory, right?
Right.
So then you have to, but that's a broad thing. So then my friend explained her view of it recently. She's like, look, if you have something to go work on, go to an open mic. But if you're just going because you think you need to be on stage and you have nothing to work on or tighten up or whatever, you know how to write jokes. You've been doing it long enough. You know how to write jokes. So go to open mics when you need to work on your material or you need to just practice. But then that other time, instead of going and doing that open mic for 3 people, at a sidebar in a bowling alley, use that 2 hours to look up shows and reach out and build the professional side of comedy. Again, the fun stuff is going to a mic and doing stand-up. The unfun stuff is like, you got to sit down and fucking do paperwork, and you're like, that's not why I did comedy.
Yeah.
But now that's part of the game. Like, when I first started stand-up, we all kind of started to know each other from being on shows together, and we'd be like, hey, I've got a show. Do you want to come out? But now it's so saturated and whatever that it's like, did you submit to this festival? And like, well, hey, we've been friends for 10 years. I'm a good comedian. Like, yeah, but I need you to submit a video. And you're like, oh, man, that's tough.
You know what's even more fun? When you have a friend who is like on the selection crew of a festival and you pay your $40 submission fee and you send in your tape.
Yeah.
And they still are like, oh man, sorry, we're so full.
We went a different direction.
We'll see you next year. Yeah, please try again next year. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. Do I get my $40 back? No. Yeah, sorry.
It's not refundable.
Yeah. Oh, okay, great. So I just gave you $40 to tell me that you didn't like my comment.
You paid for a headliner.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool, man. That's fun.
Yeah, it's so tough, man. And I get it. I know that it's all going to evolve and change.